In the summer of 1948, in the small Bavarian town of Herzogenaurach, Germany, two brothers stopped speaking to each other. They had shared a bedroom as children. They had built a shoe factory together from nothing. They had survived the Second World War together. And now, over a dispute whose exact nature has been debated by historians and biographers for 70 years, they divided everything they had built in two and went to war with each other for the rest of their lives. One brother took the north side of the river that runs through the town. One brother took the south. The factory workers, the tradesmen, the bakers and barbers of Herzogenaurach chose sides. You could tell which side a person was on by looking at their feet. The town became known as a town of bent necks because everyone looked down at other people's shoes before deciding whether to talk to them. The two companies those two brothers created are called Adidas and Puma. Together, they represent two of the 6 most recognizable brand names in the history of athletic footwear. And the entire story begins with betrayal so personal, so total, and so petty that it would be almost comical if it had not shaped the lives of thousands of people across 3 generations. Rudolf Dassler and Adolf Dassler, Rudi and Adi, were born in Herzogenaurach in 1898 and 1900 respectively. Their father was a shoemaker. Their mother ran a small laundry. The town was poor, industrial, and provincial, not the kind of place where global brands are born. But Adi Dassler had something unusual, a genuine obsession with athletic shoes and a technical precision that allowed him to design footwear that actually worked better than anything else available. He started making shoes in his mother's laundry room in 1920. Rudi, who had more commercial instincts and less technical ability, joined the operation and handled sales and business development. In 1924, they formalized the arrangement as the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory. For the next 20 years, they were, by most accounts, a remarkable partnership. Adi designed, Rudi sold, the shoes won. At the 1936 Berlin Olympics, Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals wearing Dassler shoes. It was the most visible athletic endorsement in history, and it happened before anyone had invented the concept of an athletic endorsement deal. Owens wore the shoes because they were better, and the world noticed. Then came the war, and with the war came the fractures that no biography has ever fully resolved. There are several competing accounts of what caused a break between the brothers. One version centers on a comment Rudi's wife made in an air raid shelter, allegedly referring to Allied aircraft as the dirty bastard again, in a way that Adi and his wife interpreted as directed at them personally rather than at the planes. Another version involves accusations that Rudi had cooperated with the Nazi regime in ways that Adi found unforgivable, or that Adi had sent Rudi to the front by reporting him to military authorities. A third version is simply that 20 years of creative and commercial partnership had built up enough tension, enough resentment over credit and money and recognition, that any single incident would have been enough to break it. What is documented is the result. In 1948, the factory was divided. Rudi took half the machinery, half the workers, and half the equipment. He moved across the river and started a new company. He wanted to call it Ruda, a combination of his first and last name. His employees suggested Puma instead. Adi kept the original factory and renamed his half of the business Adidas, a contraction of his own first name and last name, Adolf Dassler. The brothers never spoke again. What followed was not simply commercial competition. It was a 60-year blood feud conducted through marketing budgets, athlete contracts, trade shows, patent disputes, and the wholesale poaching of each other's employees, designers, and clients. The rivalry was so bitter and so personal that it infected everything around it. Herzogenaurach itself remained divided for decades. Puma workers and Adidas workers did not intermarry, did not drink in the same bars, did not play on the same football teams. When the German national football team won the 1954 World Cup wearing Adidas boots, a victory that Adi achieved through a technical innovation, adding screw-in cleats to the boots so they could be adapted to a wet pitch, Rudi was furious. Not because Germany had won, but because it was Adi's boots on their feet. When Puma signed a sponsorship deal with the Mozambican sprinter Carlos Lopez for the 1984 Olympics, Adidas responded by attempting to have the deal voided. When a Puma executive died and was buried in Herzogenaurach, Adidas employees in the factory across the river reportedly attended the funeral and placed an Adidas shoe in the grave next to the coffin. Whether this story is true or apocryphal is debated. That it is widely believed in Herzogenaurach and that no one who knows the town finds it implausible. It tells you everything about the atmosphere the feud created. Both companies survived their founders by decades. Rudolf Dassler died in 1974. Adolf Dassler died in 1978. Their children and grandchildren continue to run the companies, and in some cases, continue to feud for years afterward. Adidas went public in 1995 and has remained one of the largest sportswear companies in the world, with annual revenues exceeding 20 billion euros. Puma is smaller, but has successfully reinvented itself multiple times, most recently as a fashion and lifestyle brand as much as an athletic one. Together, the two companies control somewhere between 15 and 20% of the global athletic footwear market, a market that the Dassler brothers essentially helped create, first together and then, with perhaps greater intensity, in opposition to each other. The story of Adidas and Puma is, in the most direct sense, a story about how much a personal betrayal can cost. The fracture between Rudi and Adi Dassler in 1948 cost both men and both companies incalculable amount of energy, money, and talent that was spent fighting each other rather than competing with anyone else. Nike, which was founded in 1964 and had no reason to be consumed by the Dassler feud, grew to become the largest athletic footwear and apparel company in the world, not because its product were necessarily better in those early years, but because it was free to focus entirely on winning rather than on destroying a brother. The lesson is specific and bitter. The most destructive thing about a family betrayal is not what it costs you immediately. It is the decades of energy it consumes, the decisions it warps, the talent it drives away, and the market it seeds of people with nothing to do with your fight and everything to gain from watching you lose focus. Rudi and Adi Dassler built two legendary companies out of one family feud. They also, in the process, helped build a third one, a competitor so unburdened by their history that it eventually surpassed them both. Subscribe to The Reckoning. Every Tuesday, the stories behind the empires the world knows, and the betrayals that built them. Next week, the board voted 4-1 to fire him. It was a Friday afternoon. By Sunday night, 90% of the company's employees had signed a letter threatening to quit. By Monday morning, Microsoft had offered him a job. By the following Tuesday, the board that fired him no longer existed. The Sam Altman story. Subscribe, hit the bell,